Hi, I'm Ali Jennings and welcome to this Digital Camera Magazine video tutorial. Here we're going to show you how to add a dramatic sky to your portraits. So here we have the portrait, and basically we've got quite a bit of sky detail there in the background, but what we want to do is just enhance that to really make it look dramatic. So after we've done our enhancements, we should end up with a portrait that looks something like this. So here we can see we've improved the tones of not just the model but also of the background as well. What we've also done is just to change the colour of the sleeve there, which is looking a little bit distracting, and when we go back to the original image you'll see that it's a bright yellow. So to get started, the first thing we want to do is just to duplicate our background layer. So if we just drag and drop that onto the new layer icon, and then we're just going to adjust the levels to really bring out that sky. So if I go to my adjustment layers, select levels, and the first thing I want to do is just increase the shadow slider right up to about 139. And you can really see the detail of the clouds is really starting to show through. Now it's looking a little bit dark, so we want to lighten that up. So we're just going to drop this down a little bit to about 132. That's just lightened up the detail a little bit, but still left us with these quite nice dramatic clouds. So when we're happy with that, we can just click OK. Now that levels adjustment has really increased the tones. Unfortunately, we've been left with some clouds which are a slightly odd colour. So create a new hue saturation adjustment layer. First thing we want to do is just take a little bit of the colour out of the sky. So we can drop the saturation down to about -45, and then we want to start looking at the clouds and really deciding on what colours are influencing the look at the moment. And we can really see there's quite a lot of red in there and there's quite a bit of yellow. So I'm going to tackle the yellows first. So in the edit drop down, go to yellows, and what we want to do is just drop the saturation of the yellows right down to -100. Now if I click the preview off and then back on, you can really see the effect that that's having on those background clouds. Now if I click edit and green, I want to take that down to about -80. Again cyans, I'm going to take that up to about +40. Basically what we're doing with the cyans is just getting the blue of the sky to really shine through. So up to about +30, +40 does quite nicely. And finally we want to get rid of some of those reds, so we're going to drop the magenta right the way down, which has helped quite a bit. And we can also go to reds, and if we drop that down as well, we'll really see that dropping out the reds that were influencing those clouds. So once we're happy with that, we'll just click OK. And we now have our sort of neutralized clouds with that increased tone. Obviously we've almost blackened out completely the model, so we now want to do some adjustments that are going to bring her back. So duplicate your background layer, so we've got backgrounds copied to, and then drag and drop that copy layer right to the top of the stack. So we've now got our original image as our top layer. Now switch off the visibility of all of the layers beneath that, and what we want to do is just to remove the background or the sky from behind the model. So if we go over to our eraser tool, left click and hold and select background eraser, and then we can increase the size of that tool. Our tolerance is 5% at the moment. I'm going to take that up to 20. And now all I need to do is very quickly draw around the model. And you see the effect that that's having of just very quickly removing the sky from around her jacket there. You'll notice that I'm avoiding the head at the moment, and when I zoom in, go a little bit closer and start to use the brush, I can very quickly just do it in single clicks as you go around the head. And what will probably happen, because the tonal difference between her hair and the sky is very little, you'll start to actually erase some of the hair. So if I go Control or Apple Z just to undo that, and what I want to do is just to drop the tolerance back down to about 5%. Just going to zoom in just to make sure that I am getting the best possible result. Also just decrease the size of my brush, and I'm just going to start clicking around and removing that background. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Now if I zoom out, I can see that's done quite a nice cutout of the model. Now if I go back to my eraser tool, I want to increase the size. Under my brush options, I want to make sure that I've got quite a hard brush. I can adjust the size of the brush with my square bracket tool, and I'm going to zoom out, and then I can use that just to remove all of the rest of this sky in the background. Now we can switch on our background layers again, and what we'll probably see is that we've got a little bit of ghosting going on around various different areas of the picture. So what we need to do is just use our eraser tool just to help remove any of that ghosting area. You'll see that that will actually take a little bit of time to do. And what you'll also start to notice is that just around the image as well, you've got some of the darker version of the model starting to appear just behind the model herself. So if it's really sort of apparent, then what we can do is just use the clone tool just to start to remove any remnants of the darkened model. So to do that, just select your clone brush. We can really see it over on the right hand side of her head. Make sure your clone brush is quite small. Hold down Alt to make your selection, and now we can just very carefully just brush around on that background copy layer. Also, if you've got a little bit of a halo going on where you cut the top layer model out from the background, you can just use a very soft and very small brush just to help smooth that in as well. So as you see, it can be a little time consuming, but the more time that you spend on it, the better the transition between the two layers will be. At the moment we can see this yellow sleeve is looking a little bit out of place, a little bit too bright for the picture. So if I zoom in onto the sleeve, just going Control or Apple Plus, just going to use the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, just to very quickly select the sleeve there. Then I want to just refine the edge just to make sure that I've got a nice selection and it's going to blend in nicely. So I've used a smooth of 10, feather of 1, and left contract and expand as it was. Now if I go back to my adjustment layers and hue saturation, right at the moment it's a bright yellow, but I really want to just dull down that colour. So if I click colorize first of all, then I'm going to change my hue to about 50, my saturation I think to about 25, and that's just helped to dull down that sleeve quite nicely. Just click OK. Now when I zoom out, we can see that's just dulled down the sleeve. Switch that layer back off and you can suddenly see the bright sleeve, yellow sleeve appear, and that's just really helped that sleeve blend in. So now just a few finishing touches. Again, up to adjustment layers and levels, and we're just going to do a final levels tweak. So holding down Alt just to see where I'm clipping. Increase that just so that I'm clipping into the shadows, so about 22. And leave the midtones where they are. And then I'm just going to reduce the highlights just so we can start to clip into the picture as well. Happy with that, just click OK. And the final option is obviously to sharpen the picture. So I'm going to leave the clouds unsharpened. I'm going to click on the background copy to layer, which is the image layer with the model in. Go up to enhance and adjust sharpness. And I do need to make sure that I'm zoomed in on the model rather than the background. And what I want to do is just adjust the amount and the radius just to sharpen up the facial details there. So here I've gone for an amount of 50 and a radius of about 1. When I'm happy with that, I can just click OK, and that'll apply the sharpening directly to the model. With that done, I'm now pretty much finished. Just got to flatten the image down. So I'm going to select the top layer, hold down Shift, hit background copy, and then go Control E, which will flatten all the selected layers down. And so we can now see our dramatic sky behind our model, and if we compare that with the original, you can see that the original image now looks really quite flat. So that's how to add dramatic sky to a portrait image.